welcome to On the Mat with Lydia, that's me. And whatever brings you to your yoga practice today, you are very welcome here. Today's practice is for absolute beginners. So this slow-paced flow is meant to be a brief introduction to some of the yoga poses that we commonly practice. So you'll find that there might be a lot of new terms thrown at you, a lot of new shapes for your body, and I'll be explaining a lot along the way. But I really encourage you to focus more on how your body feels and this exploration of postures, and less on this judgment of right or wrong. So when you're ready, let's get on the mat. Let's start our practice in a comfortable seated position. So a lot of the times we start a yoga class in a comfortable seat, and that really differs for everyone. Especially if you're not used to sitting on the floor, this might feel really uncomfortable for you at first. So let's go through a few different variations of how you can find this comfortable seat. So the first kind of most simple variation is crisscross applesauce. Just like you used to do when you were a kid, sitting with one shin crossed in front of the other. Now, if that feels a little bit tight on your knees or your hips, then you can loosen that up a little bit. Give some space between the legs. Now, another beautiful option here is to sit up on a prop like a pillow or maybe a folded up blanket. And by sitting on that prop, you're giving cushion to your tailbones, but you're also giving yourself this seat where your pelvis can slightly be lifted above your knees. Now, another option for you, if none of that is working for you today, is to sit with your back all the way up against a wall. And that'll give you, again, some support for your spine as you sit up tall. So play around here, see what works for you, and find your version of this comfortable seat here today. And as you find that, you can take a little wiggle side to side. I always find this is nice to kind of find that center point of your body. And from that center point, you can sit up tall, thinking about lifting the crown of your head up as your hips root down. Arms rest gently at your sides, shoulders relaxed. And now if it feels safe and comfortable for you, your eyes can completely close. If that feels a little bit weird right now, you can keep your eyes softly open and keep a gentle gaze towards the floor in front of you. And as we kind of shut down our sense of sight here, that's giving our bodies this indication that we're about to go inward. We're about to take this time on our mats to really connect with ourselves deeply. So the first way that we do that in our yoga practice is through the breath. So please begin now by simply bringing your awareness to your breathing. As you breathe in, think, I am breathing in. As you breathe out, think, I am breathing out. And allow your mind to follow that inhale and exhale for a few rounds of breath. And as you follow your breath with your awareness, you might notice a certain quality to your breath. Maybe you find that your inhales are longer than your exhales, or vice versa. Maybe you find that your breath feels a little shallow and choppy right now, or perhaps it feels a little more deep and smooth. You might find that you breathe more naturally into your chest or into your belly. And as you check in with all of these things, doing so with a sense of curiosity. We're not trying to fix or change anything here. We're simply building this awareness of our breath, of our bodies. And as you focus on each inhale and exhale, Hopefully you feel that you can get a little more present on your mat. Letting go of any to-do lists or thoughts that might be bouncing around your head. And giving yourself permission to really be here and take this time for you. Breathing in and breathing out. And all together here, let's take one more inhale in through the nose. Open your mouth as you exhale. Make a big sigh. Beautiful. Do that twice more, please, letting the body relax on that exhale. Inhale through your nose. Sigh it out. Don't be afraid to make some noise here. Inhale through your nose. Beautiful. Now, if your eyes are closed, slowly begin to blink them open, readjust to the light in your space. All together, we're going to transition onto hands and knees. So no rush as we move there. You can rock over your shins if that feels okay for your knees, planting your palms on the mat, or swing your legs to one side and roll over onto hands and knees. Now, as you make your way here, again, you can take a moment to find those wiggles, which will bring you eventually to center, with your tailbone in line with your feet, with the crown of your head in line with your fingers. Now we'll start to link that breath awareness with some movements in our body, with a movement called cat-cow. So let's take our cow pose by drawing shoulder blades together, dropping your belly and lifting your chin. So feeling this arching of the back, stretching through your front body. Let's take another inhale here. As you exhale, round your spine now, tucking your chin, lifting your shoulders towards the sky, and hugging your belly button up towards your spine. This is our cat pose. So let's start moving through this one breath, one movement. Inhaling for your cow, drop your belly, arch your back. Exhale for your cat, rounding your spine, looking back towards your feet. Again, inhale for cow, arching your back. Exhale for cat, rounding your spine. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale, cow, waking up your spine. Exhale, cat, look back towards your feet. Last time, inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Beautiful. Come back to that long spine. Tailbone between the heels, crown of your head reaching forward. And then walk your knees out a little bit wider, about as wide as your mat here, so you have some space for your hips. Draw your big toes towards one another behind you, and really slowly start to shift your hips back towards your heels. Now, as you move slowly here, you're checking in with sensation for your knees and your hips. So if you reach a point where your body feels like, okay, that's far enough, you can stay right there. Maybe take that pillow or that prop and bring it underneath your bum. If it feels okay to sink the hips all the way back, maybe touching the heels, that's great too. There's no, again, right or wrong here. We're really looking for what's best for your body in this moment. Now, wherever your hips land, begin to melt your chest and your head towards the floor as well. So maybe your forehead comes all the way to the mat. Maybe your head hovers. It might feel nice to stack one fist on top of the other and rest your forehead there. We're really looking for support for the neck so that our entire spine can be long here. And you might immediately feel that you're getting some sensation around your low back. Our child's pose is most famous for being a great back stretch. So wherever that sensation is for you, start to become aware of it. And then use your nice steady breath, those inhales and exhales, to take you deeper into this experience of those sensations. So you might check in with yourself, think, okay, what am I feeling in my hips right now? What am I feeling in my low back? How am I feeling in my shoulders, in my neck? Just kind of doing a checklist through all the parts of your body. And for now, we'll stay here for just one more breath in. And breathe out. Now, as you inhale, rise back up through all fours. We'll bring the knees back underneath the hips, feet in line with your knees. And step your hands slightly forward of your shoulders now. Rock your weight forward until your shoulders stack over top of your wrists, but keep the knees where they are. So now you're creating this diagonal line with your spine. This is our kneeling plank position. Hands pressing away from the mat, feet pushing into the floor. Belly button is hugging in, so we're engaging the core. Let's stay for another inhale here, really nice strengthening pose. As you exhale, bend your elbows straight back behind you, so it feels like your elbows are grazing your ribs, and lower all the way onto your belly. Keep your legs and hands where they are, so palms are framing your chest, and then roll your shoulders up towards your ears, back, and then down towards your hips. With your next inhale, float your chest off the mat just a couple of inches. This is our baby cobra pose. So as your chest lifts, your gaze is going to stay down and slightly forward so that your neck is getting a nice long stretch here. Elbows are still hugging in by your sides, and your hips, your legs are pressing down into the floor. Now let's stay for just another inhale here. Exhale, float your forehead back down to the mat. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift your chest just a couple inches as you roll your shoulders back. As you exhale, float your forehead down to the floor. Last one, inhale, rise into that baby cobra. Keep your elbows in. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Relax your body. Well done. Keep your hands where they are, framing your chest. And now lift your belly button up. So find your core engagement again. Imagine as if you're trying to lift your belly off the floor. Now remember that kneeling plank position we did before? Inhale, press up into that kneeling plank. Now as you exhale, tuck your toes behind you. Keep your hands as they are. Start to shift your hips back towards your heels. And then kick through your legs. Lift your hips towards the sky, coming into this inverted V shape with your body. This is our downward facing dog. So keep both knees bent here as you first arrive. Let your heels stay lifted away from the mat. And then step your feet out a little wider apart, so your hips have some room to move here. So with knees bent, we're lifting our hips high towards the sky, as if you were a little mountain peak on your mat here. Your hands are in front of you, pushing you back so that your spine can be long as your hips are lifted. Now this might feel really, really hard if this is the first time you've done this pose. I promise you over time this will become more natural and a little bit easier for your body. But there's a lot going on here. Your entire body is working. So for now, let's just stay for one more inhale. Maybe bend the knees a little bit more. Stay for the exhale. Now as you inhale with knees bent, look up towards your hands. Exhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Take your time, coming all the way to the top of your mat, keeping knees bent, fold forward over your thighs. So this pose is a big one because we feel like the legs need to be straight, but that's really not the case. So I encourage you to keep your feet fairly wide apart, keep your knees bent, and focus more on bringing your chest towards your thighs than getting your legs straight. So we're avoiding this shape of really rounding the spine and locking out the knees, and instead we're gonna soften into it a little bit more. Once you're there, feel your head can hang heavy, your arms can relax or rest on your legs somewhere. And give yourself a few breaths here to really feel the sensations of this pose. So again, going through that checklist. How does this feel for my feet? How does this feel in my legs? Where do I feel a stretch? Where do I feel effort? Really building up this curiosity, this awareness as we go. Now bending your knees even more deeply here, let your tailbone drop towards the floor. With your next inhale, slowly roll yourself up to standing. Really take your time as you rise. And as you come to the top here, roll your shoulders back and down. Take your gaze straight forward, finding your mountain pose at the top of your mat. So it's gonna feel like you're just kind of standing on your mat here, but let's really get a bit into the nitty-gritty of this pose. So the soles of your feet are planted into the floor, your knees keep a soft bend. And then turn on your quads here. So imagine a little squeeze at the tops of your thighs. From there, your belly button is gently drawing back towards your spine, and you're standing up as tall as you can through the top of your head. Now check in and see if in the effort to stand up tall, you start to stick out the ribs. Can you keep everything kind of in one long line here? Beautiful. Palms turn forward so your shoulders can draw back. Let's take another inhale here. And exhale. Now with your next inhale, sweep your arms to the sky. As you exhale, bring your right arm down by your side, reach your left arm up and over. Coming into a side bend here, anchor down through your feet as you reach up and over. So feeling this stretch in that left side waist, looking for a little space between your hips and your rib cage. And then using your inhale to come back through center, both arms reach up again. Exhale, switch, left arm down, right arm reaches up and over. Keeping the legs strong, feet grounded, and letting your chest open up, turning towards the sky just a little bit here as you stretch through your side. And you might notice that this right side feels a little bit different than your left. That's totally normal. Breathe into whatever that experience is for you. Next inhale draws you back through center, both arms to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. So this is a pose that we do often in yoga, is bringing our hands together, letting your elbows relax by your sides. And it really is just a reminder to bring your attention back to the energy of your heart, and also to bring you back to this sense of gratitude. So let's keep moving our bodies here. Just a few more poses for us today. From your Tadasana at the top of your mat, take an inhale. Exhale, bend your knees as you fold forward. So coming back down into that forward fold. Plant your fingertips on the floor, so that might mean you need to bend your knees a little bit more. And then step your left foot back to the back of your mat. Gently lower your left knee down to the floor. We're setting up for a low lunge. Now, if your back knee feels a little bit hard on the floor, or if you have any knee issues going on, then you can grab your pillow, grab your blanket, slide it underneath your knee for cushion, or you can always double up your mat as well, fold it a couple of times there. Now, front knee is about stacked over front ankle. It's okay if it's a little in front or behind. And we're looking for sensation in the front of that left thigh. Your hands might be on the floor, or maybe you bring your hands up onto your right thigh, letting the spine get tall as your hips drop down and stretch. So for you, this pose might look a little bit shorter. Maybe it looks more like kind of a 90 degree angle in both the legs. That's fine. Over time, you might find it's a little more comfortable to let the hips sink down. Let's take another inhale here. Stay for the exhale. Now, hands to hips or fingertips to the floor. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, begin to shift your hips back just like you would in child's pose. As you do, letting the right leg straighten and your right toes lift. So as we lengthen through the right leg, we're starting to stretch into the hamstring, the back of your thigh. It's probably going to feel more comfortable to keep your right knee bent a little or a lot, and that is completely okay. We're going to keep our spine nice and long here. So reaching the crown of your head forward, gaze is beyond your right foot, and your hips are staying back just like we would have them in child's pose. Let's stay for just a few more rounds of breath here. Again, really tuning into that right hamstring, creating a little more space through the back line of your right leg. And in any moments in your yoga practice, if you're feeling really intense sensations or you're just really feeling challenged during your practice, you always A, have options to change the pose, and B, you always have your breath. Your breath is your constant companion to our yoga practice. So with our next inhale, let's re-bend the right knee, come back towards your low lunge. This time, let's tuck the back toes, lift your left knee off the floor. Now plant your left hand either onto the floor, maybe up onto a water bottle, or if you have yoga blocks here, that's great too. But see that you can really plant down that left hand for support. Bring right hand to your right thigh, take an inhale here. As you exhale, turn your chest towards your right knee and find a twist. So both hands are pressing off of a surface to help you draw your shoulders back and open up your chest. Back knee is lifted, so we have some energy in the legs, but if that becomes uncomfortable for you, you can always drop the back knee down. Let's stay in our twist for another inhale here. And exhale completely. Slowly unwind your twist. Right hand comes back to the floor. And now drop your back heel to the floor as well. That might mean the foot steps forward a little bit. That's cool. So your toes are pointing out at about a 45-degree angle, pushing the outer edge of that left foot into the floor. Push down through your right foot as well. Bring your hands to your hips. Take an inhale, rise up tall. So coming into our warrior one pose here. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight. Hips and shoulders are facing in the same direction. That might be straight forward, that might be to a slight angle. Looking for sensation here in the front of the left hip, as well as in the spine as we lengthen the crown of the head up. Now hands can stay on your hips or reach your arms high to the sky. Let's stay for another breath in here. And breath out. Beautiful. Hands come back down to the floor. Plant your palms. That might mean the back knee has to bend. And then step your right foot back to meet your left. Come back into your downward facing dog. Knees bent, hips nice and high. Finding that slope from your hips to your head and from your hips to your heels. Take a breath in here. And breath out. Awesome. Bend your knees. Inhale, look up towards your hands. Exhale, step your feet up to meet your hands. Take your time. Arriving in that forward fold. Remember, it doesn't matter if the legs are straight. We're looking to bring our chest towards the thighs. Now this time as you inhale, slide your hands up to your thighs and lengthen your chest away from your hips. This is our halfway lift position. Your hands are braced on your legs so that you can really create that length in your spine. And then hugging your navel in and up, find a little core support in this pose. Keep your spine long. Take your next inhale, rise all the way to standing. Sweep your arms up with you. Exhale, hands come together in front of your heart. Inhale here, you're in your mountain pose. Exhale, bend your knees and fold forward, hinging from your hips, just like a door hinge. Inhale for that halfway lift. Hands slide up to your thighs. Exhale, bend your knees to bring your fingertips to the mat. Step your right foot back this time. Lower your right knee down to set up for that low lunge, maybe adding cushion under your knee. Front knee is stacked over your front ankle or slightly in front, slightly behind. Your hands can stay on the floor this entire time. Or you might lift your hands up to your left thigh and get a little tall through your chest. Take your time to really kind of play with this shape here. So ultimately, we're looking to square our hips and shoulders to the front of the mat. So if you imagine your hips as headlights of a car, we're looking to shine those headlights straight forward. That might take a little time to really get that in your body. So it's okay if for now your hips are feeling a little open. It's okay if this feels a little awkward. This really is a practice over time. So let's take a few more rounds of breath here, feeling that stretch for the front of your right thigh. Let's take one more inhale. And exhale. Hands on the floor or hands on your hips. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, begin to shift your hips back, straightening through that left leg as you do so. Let your left toes lift. Let your left knee bend. So as we once again come into this hamstring stretch, this time for the left leg, we're going to do our best to keep the hips and shoulders square towards the front of the mat, just like we had in low lunge. Left heel is pressing down into the floor. And then imagine that you could drag your left foot back towards your body. It's not actually going to go anywhere, but feel that energy of pulling the heel back. And then your chest is in that halfway lift position, hips back, heart forward. Taking a few more breaths here to give your hamstring a chance to open up. Beautiful job sticking with this here. Let's take another inhale. And exhale. Inhale, rebend your left knee, rocking forward into that low lunge once again. Let's add on by tucking the right toes and lifting your right knee. Right hand plants onto the floor, maybe up onto a book or a water bottle here. Left hand comes to your left thigh. Take an inhale, think about lengthening your spine. As you exhale, turn your chest towards your left knee, coming into a twist. Both hands pressing into these surfaces here to help you draw your shoulder blades together on your back and really get this spreading of your collarbones. And you can look wherever it feels natural for your gaze to be here. It might feel nice to look down to give you a bit more stability. If it feels more natural, you can look straight forward. And let's stay for another breath in and breath out. Awesome. Unwind. Left hand comes back to the floor. Drop your right heel to the mat, turning your foot out to that 45-degree angle. Now you might shorten your stance here, bringing that right foot a little closer to the top of your mat. But see that you have space horizontally between your feet. In yoga, we like to say railroad tracks, not a tightrope. So when you have that space between the feet, you have more balance. Hands to your hips, front knee stays bent. Take your inhale to rise up to stand for warrior one. Now we're pressing through both feet evenly here, so really strong support coming from the feet. Front knee bent, back leg straight. Hips and shoulders facing the same direction, whether that's the front or a slight diagonal, doesn't really matter. And then final step here, hug your belly in, find that core support. Stay with hands on hips or reach for the sky. Let's stay for another inhale and exhale. Hands come back down to the mat, planting your palms. Step your left foot back to meet your right, downward facing dog. Knees bent, heels lifted, and most importantly, tailbone lifted high. Our last down dog of the practice today. Let's take another inhale here. And exhale. Gently lower your knees to the mat, passing through hands and knees. And then sit your hips to one side, swing your legs around in front of you so that you can come to a seated position. Scoot yourself so that you're sitting at about the midpoint of your mat, and then let your legs stretch out long and give them a little shake here. So you might be feeling a lot going on in your legs after those few lunges that we did. So give yourself a chance to kind of integrate all of these different yoga postures. Let's keep our left leg extended. Bend your right knee, plant the sole of your right foot on the floor. Your hands can help guide you here as you open your right knee wide, bringing the sole of your right foot towards your inner left thigh. Now for some of us, that's going to feel really crunchy for the right knee. If that's the case for you, you can bring your foot below the knee. I just ask that you don't put your foot on the knee joint, either above or below. Now flexing your left foot, reach your toes to the sky. Bring your left hand to your left hip and use that to help you remember to ground this left hip down. So basically just get heavy through the left hip. As you inhale, sit tall and reach your right arm to the sky. As you exhale, reach up and over towards your left foot. Now, as you begin to fold here, let the left knee bend, thinking less about getting the leg straight and nose to knee, thinking more about letting your chest reach for your toes. And maybe your left hand stays on your hip this entire time, if that's a nice reminder. Maybe your left hand meets your right. Your hands can land anywhere from your mat to your shin to your foot, wherever they just kind of naturally land. And we'll stay for a few more rounds of breath here to feel the stretch for the back of the left leg, the stretch for the low back, and this opening that's naturally happening in your right hip. When in doubt, always coming back to your breath. Reminding yourself, I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Now with your next inhale, slowly sit up once again. And we'll switch out our legs here. So drawing your right knee back to center and then stretching the right leg long. Bend your left knee, plant the sole of your left foot, and then use your hands to guide as you open your knee out wide and bring your left foot either above or below your right knee. Now this might be a place where it feels nice to sit up on that pillow or blanket that you had at the start of practice. You might also like to put that prop underneath your left knee if that feels good for the hip. Now right hand on right hip, inhale left arm to the sky. Exhale, reach up and over towards that right foot, letting your right knee bend and sending your heart forward. So just like in our standing forward fold, rather than really rounding the spine and kind of crunching into this fold, we're allowing for a bit more length in the spine when we bend that right knee. And then readjusting that right hand as you see fit. Maybe it stays on your hip, maybe it meets your left hand. And once again, coming back to these sensations in your body, always coming back to your bodily experience. Because I find when we really tune into the body, that gets us out of our judgmental mind. That gets us out of these cycles of thinking that draw us back into the right and wrong kind of mindset, you know? When we practice our yoga, we're not here to do something right. We're not here to look perfect in these poses. We're really here to connect with our bodies and connect with ourselves on a really deep level. Let's stay for another inhale here. Exhale completely. Inhale, slowly sit up tall once again. Beautiful. Bring that left knee back to center. Plant the sole of your left foot. And then bend your right knee, plant your right foot as well. So both knees bent, both feet planted, hands come behind your thighs. As you inhale, sitting up nice and tall. As you exhale, begin to roll yourself back onto your back. As your shoulders come down, your feet will lift up. Use that momentum to draw your legs in towards your chest. Curling up into a ball here, you can bring your hands to the backs of your thighs or your shins and give yourself a hug. Might feel good to rock side to side a little bit here as well, massaging out this low back area. So we've done a lot of forward folding here today, which is great to stretch the back line of the body. So let's finish out with a little bit of back bending, which will stretch the front line of your body. So bringing the soles of your feet back to the floor. Let's keep the feet either in line with your hips or slightly wider. And then your feet will be stacked under your knees or slightly in front of your knees. Bring your arms by your sides and point your fingertips towards the sky so your palms are facing one another. And you can imagine that you're holding something between your hands here, like maybe a beach ball or something like that. Press your upper arms down into the floor as your fingers point up and feel how that affects your chest and your upper back here. So as the arms press down, we're letting the chest lift, starting to feel that stretch already happening. Now at the same time, press into the soles of your feet. Take an inhale to lift your hips off the floor any amount. Now keep pressing through your feet, keep pressing through your arms, taking pressure out of the head and neck here. Hips do not have to be lifted super high here whatsoever. We're looking for that lift just so we can stretch from the chest down through the hips. Now, if you're starting to feel that this is getting a bit crunchy on your low back, Then find that core engagement, drawing your belly button towards your spine. And breathe with this wherever you are in this pose. Let's take another inhale. As you exhale, lower down as slowly as you can, coming down bit by bit until eventually your hips come back to the mat. Relax your hands. Heel toe your feet wide apart on your mat. Once you have your feet nice and wide, drop both knees over to the left side of your mat. Then bring your legs back through center and drop them over to the right. Keep this going back and forth with the knees, just like a windshield wiper. And this motion is really great to work through the hips. So we're going to take that bridge pose again so you can really start to feel this back bending shape in your body. And I'd love for you to focus this time on the sensations specifically happening in your legs. So even though in a back bend we're stretching a lot through the chest, your legs are really doing some work for you in this pose. So please bring your knees back to center. Walk your feet in once again to set up for your bridge pose. Arms hugging in by your sides, fingers point up, palms face in. Press your arms into the mat, press your feet into the mat. With an inhale, lift your hips any amount coming into your bridge. Now remember, awareness to the lower body here. Feel that you're really pushing down into the mat with your feet. You might even imagine that you're dragging your feet forward slightly. Notice how that feels. And then imagine the opposite, that you're dragging your heels towards you. See how that feels. Ultimately, I'm guiding you to really feel the engagement of your hamstrings here, helping you to keep the hips lifted and stretch through the front of the hip. There's always so much going on in these yoga postures, which can be really overwhelming at first, but also really exciting to get curious about these different bits and pieces. So take it step by step, and remember, when in doubt, come back to your breath. Let's take another inhale here. Exhale, slowly lower your hips to the mat. Once your hips come down, relax your hands. Step your feet out nice and wide, and take that windshield wiper motion through the legs again, dropping your knees from one side of your mat to the other. Now we have one more bridge pose for today. This time we're going to focus on the sensation in our upper body, okay? So let's bring the knees back to center. Step your feet in underneath the knees. Elbows hugging in towards your sides, fingers point straight up. With your inhale, lift your hips any amount, find your bridge. And let's tune in to the upper body here. So your shoulders are drilling down into the floor. Your upper arms are pressing down as well. So that's what's giving you this lift for your chest. So we're stretching through the front line of the body here. The collarbones are spreading. Your rib cage is lifting. But we're resisting the urge to really pop the ribs out and really arch the back. Instead, we're going to pull the ribs together and let the stretch really be about the chest, the upper chest. Doing such a beautiful job here. Let's take another inhale. As you exhale, slowly lower back to the mat. As your hips come down, relax your arms. This time, straightening your legs out long on your mat. And take your legs out nice and wide so your feet are reaching for those bottom corners. Bring your arms down by your sides. Let your palms turn to face up towards the sky. And wiggle your shoulder blades underneath you, kind of like we just did in our bridge. So this shape is our traditional savasana or corpse pose in which we end our yoga practice. If this feels uncomfortable or unsupportive to be kind of splayed out on your mat in this way, then you totally have the option to mess with this pose. So maybe you rebend the knees, maybe you take a different variation with your arms. This really is about making your body as comfortable as it can be. So maybe that means you throw a blanket over yourself, maybe a pillow under your head, whatever feels comfy, cozy for you. And once you've found that shape, please allow your eyes to close or find that soft, gentle gaze towards the ceiling above you. Our Shavasana is our final resting pose at the end of the practice, which allows us to really integrate everything else that we've done on the mat. So please allow yourself this time to be in stillness as best you can. To slow down your breath, slow down your thoughts, and really reflect on this experience that you've had on the mat today. And to help you get into this state of deep relaxation, we'll start all together with a really short meditation here in our Shavasana. And this meditation is a systematic way to relax the body. So let's start by bringing our awareness down to the soles of your feet. Feeling the soles of your feet wherever they are in this space. And imagining that the soles of your feet can completely relax. Feel that relaxation spreading to your toes and the tops of your feet. Softening around your ankles as well, so that both feet are completely relaxed. Traveling your awareness up your shins and around your calves, feeling that you can relax these muscles here. Relaxing around your knees. Relaxing your thighs. Softening around your glutes and your hips. Relaxing this area of your pelvis and around your waist. Feeling your entire left leg is heavy and relaxed. Feeling your entire right leg is heavy and relaxed. Your entire lower body is heavy and relaxed. Bringing your awareness up to your low belly and softening there. Relaxing the muscles of your core. Relaxing your low back. Softening around your rib cage and the muscles that surround your spine. Relaxing your shoulders, softening across your chest. Feeling that your entire torso is heavy and relaxed. Bringing your awareness to your shoulders, softening here. Relaxing your upper arms, softening around your elbows. Relaxing the muscles of your forearms and around your wrists. Relaxing your palms, your fingers, all the way up to your fingertips. Relaxing the backs of your hands. Feeling that your entire left arm is heavy and relaxed. Feeling that your entire right arm is heavy and relaxed. Your entire upper body is heavy and relaxed. And now bringing your awareness to your neck. Feeling the muscles of your neck soften. Softening around your throat. Relaxing your jaw. Softening around your mouth, your nose, and your eyes. Relaxing that space between your eyebrows. Feeling the muscles of your face soften and relax. And softening through the crown of your head. Feeling that your entire head is heavy and relaxed. Your entire body is heavy and relaxed. Give yourself another couple of minutes here to really bask in this relaxation, to enjoy this time of rest. When you're ready to come out of Shavasana, begin by bringing your awareness back to your breath, feeling where your body is laying or sitting on your yoga mat, feeling yourself inhabiting your space, and inviting gentle movement back into your body. Starting by wiggling your fingers and your toes, and gradually adding movement from there. Really taking your time as you reawaken your body, and eventually rolling yourself onto your left side, stacking your hips and shoulders, using your arm or hands as a little pillow for your head. And take a breath or two here so that you have time to readjust. When you feel ready, use your hands to press yourself up to that seated position, just where we started at the beginning of practice. And as you find your comfy seat here, bring your hands again to gather in front of your heart. Taking another big breath in through your nose. Sigh it out through your mouth. And really thank yourself for taking this time to come to your yoga mat and to move your body. I thank you so much for meeting me on the mat. Namaste.